Salvete! Hello everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Stephen. This is a beginner's course for those wishing to learn Latin. By this point we've come quite far if you've been following the course. This is the very first video of the fourth unit, so congratulations if you have been following the other videos and you've come this this far. We're doing very well, I feel. If you're new to the channel, then you're very welcome here. Thanks for joining us today. In this fourth unit, I want to begin by introducing the fourth conjugation verbs. You may be pleased to hear that there are just 4 different conjugations or categories of verb, let's say. We've covered first, second and third in the other units. So first in the first unit, second in the second, etc. And now we've finally come to the fourth. So I'm making this video assuming that you have either followed the other units with me, or perhaps you have learnt those other conjugations elsewhere and you're comfortable to move on to the fourth. So you're very welcome to stay. If you're not sure about the other conjugations, maybe just go back and look over those first. So first conjugation verbs in the infinitive and in are, such as amare, to love, laudare, to praise, salutare. All right, so we recognize them by their are, and they have a pattern that goes o, ars, at, amos, artis, ant, through the present tense. Then we met second conjugation verbs that have ere in the infinitive, like habere, to have, tenere, to hold, videre, to see. Then we met third conjugation verbs that have ere also in the infinitive, but it's a short e, so it's for instance scribere, to write, leggere, to read, ducere, to lead, emere, to buy. Now, fourth conjugation verbs have an infinitive which ends in ire, so it's a longer I, ire. All right, and the example that we're going to use today to start us off is the verb audire. Audire, au, like someone's just stood on your toe. Audire, and it means, you probably recognize it, it means to hear. We have something's can be heard in English, it's audible. We listen to audio files and recordings, all right, so that's where it comes from, audire. Right, so looking at the screen then, how do we conjugate this? What does that mean? It just means how do we take it from the infinitive and then change the endings to apply them to each person. We're dealing, of course, with the present tense at this stage. This is what we do. We take off the ire, which leaves us at the stem of the verb, aud, in this case, right up to the D, and then after the D we add different endings for each person. So the I form we can see is io, audio. Audio means I hear. I hear. We could say ego, audio. I've explained before that the pronouns in the nominative case are often left out because the verb makes it clear. If it says audio, it could only possibly mean I hear. So audio, 2 for one person, you. Audis, long E, audis, you hear. He, she, it, audit. We hear. Audimos, long E, audimos. You plural, however many people. Audites, audites. And they, audiunt, audiunt. Let's go through this a couple of times, guys. Let's say it together. Audio, audis, audit. Audimus, auditis, audiunt. Audio, audis, audit. Audimus, auditis, audiunt. Again, audio, audis, audit. Audimus, auditis, audiunt. Do remember, guys, that because there is no special present continuous form of the verb in Latin, if I say audio, it could mean I hear, or also I am hearing, as in right now. Audimos, we hear, general statement. Audimos, we are hearing. So it's not clear from the Latin. You have to look at the other words in the sentence and judge from the context how you'll translate it. But for the most of the time, we'll probably just be using I hear, you hear, she hears. All right. One more time. Come on. Audio, audis, audit. Audimus, auditis, audiunt. Now you'll see by looking at those that actually the endings aren't that surprising, because as we've seen throughout the other conjugations in the present tense, we still always have O at the end for I, st for you, he, she, mus for we, tis for you plural, and nt always for they. It's just a question of the vowels changing before those final terminations. And because this is an ire fourth conjugation verb, we have pretty much all the way through, we have this E sound as the main vowel, the chief vowel that categorizes, that identifies, I should say, these verbs. Audio, audis, audit, audimus, auditis, audiunt. So let's make a few sentences, guys, with this. What about, I hear the master, the dominus. I hear the master in the atrium. I hear the master in the atrium. We don't need to put the ego in, but you can add it if you like. Ego dominum, accusative, in atrio audio. So I hear, ego audio, audio. Whom do I hear? It's my direct object. The master, accusative ending. Dominum, in atrio, ablative phrase, in the atrium, in atrio audio. Dominum, in atrio audio. We hear the master. We hear. Not audio, but audimus. Dominum audimus. Dominum nunc now. Audimus. Dominum audimus. We don't hear. Dominum non audimus. So you just take the audimus and put non, known, in front, a separate word. Non audimus. We not hear. So we don't need to worry about doing, doesn't, that kind of thing. Does not hear. We just put known plus verb. Non audio. I do not hear. I hear not. Non auditis. You guys hear not. Let's do another sentence. So we said I hear the master in the atrium, but I do not hear the matron. But said I do not hear, or I not hear, literally, the matron. Said matronam, accusative, non audio. Said matronam, non audio. Because she is in the garden. Hopefully you remember hortus, second declension masculine. Because she is in the garden. Quod in horto est. You don't need the word for she. It would be ea, ea, or we could repeat matrona. But quod matrona in horto est. Because she's sitting in the garden. In horto sedet. Standing in the garden. Stat. Alright. I sometimes hear the gladiators in the arena. Wow, I sometimes hear the gladiators in the arena. So it's I hear, so it's going to be audio. Can you remember sometimes? I added that towards the end of Unit 3. It's not never. Non numquam. Numquam is never, so no numquam. Not never, therefore, sometimes. Non numquam. Non numquam gladiatores in arena audio. I sometimes hear gladiators, the gladiators in the arena. Gladiatores in arena nonumquam audio. Ego nonumquam audio. You can do the word order however you like it. Gladiatores in arena nonumquam audio. Alright. Audio, audis, audit, audimus, auditis, audiunt. Very nice, guys. I hope this is making sense to you. And I hope it's fairly straightforward based on what you've learned so far from the other conjugations. Let's now add a few new verbs that are fourth conjugation and work in exactly the same way. So we've had audire. Let us add the verb punire. I'm sorry it's not the nicest one. It means to punish. But it sounds very much like the English, therefore easy to remember. Long U and long E in the infinitive. Punire. Punire. To punish. Let us conjugate, guys. Remove the ire. What's your stem? In this case, pun. Add the same endings. Io, is, it. Punio, I punish. Punis, you punish one person. Punit, he, she, it punishes. Punimus, we. Punitis, you guys. Puniunt, they punish. Again, punio, punis, punit. Punimus, punitis, puniunt. Again, punio, punis, punit. Punimus, punitis, puniunt, punire, punire. So we've got audire, audible, audio, punire, punish, very much like English, punire. Let's add a couple of others. What about venire? Venire, this is a nice one. It means to come, to arrive. Venire, take off the ere, stem is a ven, V-E-N. Remember the Romans were told pronounced it V as a W, but if you want to pronounce it venire, it doesn't matter, I don't think, for our purposes. Venio, I come. Venis, venit. Venimus, venitis, veniunt. Again, venio, venis, venit. Venimus, venitis, veniunt. And if we know venire, to come, to arrive, we can make it a little bit longer and change the meaning with invenire. Invenire, which means something quite different. It means to find, but it works in exactly the same way. Invenio, invenis, invenit, I find, you find, he, she finds. Invenimus, we find, or are finding. Invenitis, you guys find. Inveniunt, they find. Venio, venis, venit. Venimus, venitis, veniunt. Invenio, invenis, invenit. Invenimus, invenitis, inveniunt. So we've got audio from audire. Punio, I punish, from punire. Venio, I come, from venire. Invenio, from invenire, I find. Alright, let's now make a few sentences to practice these new verbs, guys. How about the father? I think we know that word, don't we? Pater. Pater, it's third declension masculine. Pater. The father punishes the son, or his son, but we're just going to put father punishes son, because we don't need those little words, really, if it's clear. Because he is lazy, i.e. the son is lazy. The word is ignavos. Ignavos. First things first, the father punishes the son. Pater, subject, nominative, he's doing the action. Punit, from punire, punio, punis, punit is third person, he or she. Pater punit. Pater punit. Filius is your word, but he's receiving the action, therefore accusative. Filium. More natural, I think, to put the verb at the end. Pater filium punit. Pater filium punit. Or, indeed, filium pater punit. That's absolutely fine to do that in Latin, and quite normal as well that the accusative comes first. If you read that sentence, filium pater punit, be careful not to start your sentence in English with the son, because he's the object, and we tend to have subject, verb, object, word order because we can't change the endings like Latin. So the father punishes the son because he is lazy. Quod filius est ignavus. Quod filius ignavus est. Pater filium punit. Quod ignavus est. I guess we could leave out the word for son. Presumably it's the son that's lazy is being punished, not the father. But you can put the filius in if you like. Pater filium punit. Quod, in brackets, filius ignavus est. The father never punishes the slave. The father never punishes the slave, but often praises him. The father never. What's never? We just had that. Numquam. Nice word. Numquam. The father never punishes the slave. Pater. Servum, accusative. Numquam punit. But often praises him. Sed. Let's put the word for him in. Can you remember that? You could repeat servum if you like, but if you can remember it, it's eum. E-U-M. Eum, accusative. Him. Saipe, often. Laudat, laudable praises. Let's do that again. Pater servum numquam punit. Pater servum numquam punit. He never punishes. Sed, but. Servum, or eum, him. Saipe, often. Laudat. Pater servum numquam punit. Sed eum saipe laudat. Very nice. Very well done. If you're getting this, or even just part of it, pause, take your time, guys. There's a lot of different things to consider here, so don't put yourself under too much time pressure. Main thing is you're understanding the principles. So what we had, I've written my sentences down here before. Let's go to the matron never punishes the daughter or her daughter. The matron never punishes her daughter. Matrona filiam numquam, again, numquam punit. Numquam punit, but always punishes the slave girls. Not so nice, this matron. But always punishes the slave girls. Sed ankillas, accusative, feminine. Ankillas. Punit, punishes. What's the word for always? Semper. Saipe is often, semper, always. Saipe, semper. Matrona filiam numquam punit, never punishes her daughter. Filiam numquam punit, said, but ankillas, the slave girls in the accusative, semper punit. Filiam numquam punit, said, ankillas semper punit. Oh dear. Right, let's move away from punishing, that's too negative. Let's go to the verb venire, to come or arrive. The friend, amicus. The friend arrives or comes to the villa. The friend comes to the villa, the house. To is going to be ad plus accusative, ad, ad. Amicus, ad. Willam, when it. From venire, venio, venis, when it. Venio, venis, when it. Amicus, when it. The friend comes or is coming. Amicus ad willam, when it. Let's change the ad willam to dinner. He comes to dinner. Cana. Ad canam, accusative ending. Amicus. Ad canam, when it. Often. Saipe. Amicus. Saipe ad canam, when it. Sometimes, not never. No numquam. Amicus. No numquam ad canam, when it. Amicus. No numquam ad canam, when it. Very, very good. What else can we see? The men, there's the singular nominative is wir, V-I-R, wir, plural, wiri, second declension, wir, wiri. The men, the wiri, come to the arena because they want to spectate the gladiators. The men come to the arena because they want to watch the gladiators. Let's break it down. The men come to the arena. Viri ad arenam. They form, what's it going to be? Veniunt. Viri ad arenam veniunt. Quod, because. Gladiatores. Spectare. They want. Volunt. Been a bit tricky. I've been a bit nasty throwing that one in. Volunt. Viri ad arenam veniunt quod gladiatores spectare volunt. If that's a bit much, because I did a lesson on the wanting plus infinitive, wallow, vis, vult, or a simpler one would be maybe because they love the gladiators. All right, quod gladiatores amant, always nt for they. All right, in the present tense. Viri ad arenam veniunt quod gladiatores amant, quod gladiatores spectare volunt. But I never come to the arena because I fear the gladiators. But I never come to the arena, said ego. On this occasion I might put the ego in there because it's stressing the opposite. They come, the I, ego, numquam ad arenam venio. They come, veniunt, I come, venio. Sed ego numquam ad arenam venio, quod gladiatores. I fear, do you remember that one? Second conjugation, to be timid. Timeo, from timere. Timeo, times, timet. Ego gladiatores timeo. Viri ad arenam veniunt, quod gladiatores spectare volunt, sed ego numquam ad arenam venio, quod gladiatores timeo, or quod timidus sum. Sum I am timid, right? I'm fearful. I fear the gladiators, gladiatores. Timeo, timidus sum. Take your pick. All right. Last little section. Let's go from venire to come to invenire to find. Invenio, invenis, invenit. What do you find? What find you? It's a word for what? A question. Q-U-I-D. Quid. Who is quis? It's a person, but think. What? Quid. What do you find? Quid invenis. I'm talking to one person. Quid invenis. What do you find? The answer, I find money. I find money. Pecuniam, accusative, invenio. Ego, pecuniam, invenio. I sometimes find money. Ego nonumquam pecuniam invenio. Pecuniam nonumquam invenio. And then the question comes about where? Where do you find money? Ubi. Remember that one? UBI. Ubi. Ubi pecuniam invenis. Invenio, invenis. Invenitis is plural. Ubi pecuniam invenis. I've lost my sentence. I find money in the atrium, under the table. Pecuniam in atrio, invenio, sub mensa. All right, sub underneath. Locating position is going to be ablative case. Sub mensa. That's just a little extra. Pecuniam in atrio, invenio. Pecuniam in atrio, sub mensa. Video, or invenio. Invenio, I find. The lazy slave finds the wine in the kitchen. Wine is vinum, V-I-N-U-M, vinum neuter. And the good thing about neuter nouns is when they become accusative, the direct object, they stay the same. They're already so you can't do anything to it. So it's going to be vinum. The lazy slave, servus ignavus, nominative case, because he's doing the finding. Servus ignavus vinum invenit. Servus ignavus vinum inculina, ablative phrase, long A, inculina invenit. Oh my goodness, the slave finds the wine. Servus ignavus vinum inculina invenit. The slave drinks the wine. That's third conjugation verb, bibere. Bibo, bibis, bibit. Servus vinum bibit. Servus vinum invenit, inculina, nunc now servus vinum bibit. The master finds the slave in the kitchen with the wine. Cum vino. Dominus servum inculina cum vino invenit. The word, by the way, for drunk or drunken, the adjective is ebrius. Ebrius. You might know the fancy English word. Someone's inebriated, intoxicated. The slave, masculine, is drunk. Servus ebrius est. The opposite would be sobrius. Sober. Sobrius ebrius. Servus ebrius est. Servus inculina vinum invenit. Vinum bibit. Dominus servum ebrium inculina cum vino invenit. Finds him. Now the angry, irate Iratus, the angry master, punishes the drunken slave. Iratus ebrius. Now the angry master punishes the drunken slave. Nunc Dominus iratus. Servum, accusative. Ebrium, accusative. Punit, from punire. Punio, punis, punit. Notice that the adjective must agree in case as well as gender and number with the noun that it's describing. So whilst the angry master is doing the punishing, therefore is the subject, nominative. Dominus iratus. The slave is the one who's being found or being punished in this case. Therefore is the object. Now, drunk, agrees it's describing the slave, therefore that must also be in the accusative case. Alright, so that's why it's servum ebrium. The angry master punishes the drunken slave. Dominus iratus servum ebrium punit. Dominus iratus servum ebrium punit. Servum ebrium dominus iratus punit. Servum ebrium dominus iratus punit. Try repeating them as I do. It will help you to kind of internalize it and keep these sentences as model sentences to practice your endings on. Alright, so very well done. That's my sentences for today. I hope that's been useful and possibly slightly entertaining. I don't know where I get these sentences from, they just come to me. My apologies to the slave and the slave girls who've been variously punished during this lesson. Just in terms now of the endings, let's quickly go over them. So we're talking fourth conjugation, ire. So audio, audire, to hear. Audio, audis, audit. Audimus, auditis, audiunt. Again, audio, audis, audit. Audimus, auditis, audiunt. And then we've got punire, venire, invenire. Let's take punire to punish, and let's just conjugate that one. Punio, punis, punit. Punimus, punitis, puniunt. Punio, punis, punit. Punimus, punitis, puniunt. One last time. Punio, punis, punit. Punimus, punitis, puniunt. Very well done. So there we go. First lesson of the fourth unit, fourth conjugation verbs here introduced. So every time you find in the dictionary a verb that is presented with a little for next to it, that means it follows this pattern and you know now how to conjugate it. So as this unit progresses, I will introduce a few more of these fourth conjugation verbs. There aren't as many as the third conjugation, but there are a fair few common ones, so we need to know them. So I hope that's been useful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you for taking the time to join me. Please like this video if it's in your opinion worth liking. Subscribe if you haven't already, guys. Throw me a comment, let me know where you're watching this video from. I like to see who's where you are in the world and who's watching this, and I shall say for now, walete.